I am Joshua Wells, and we will be looking into foreign investment and outsourcing in Mexico. If one were to look from within the bell jar that is North America and the North American Free Trade Agreement, also known as NAFTA, it may appear that Mexico is a smaller player than its neighbor of the United States, especially when one takes into consideration the rhetoric put out by the current United States presidential administration. However, when we expand this view to incorporate more of a globalist approach, it becomes apparent that Mexico is much more diverse than they seem. Yet what makes Mexico an attractive investment for outsourcing, and what powers their economy? In the following slides, we will begin to peel back the veil and answer some of these questions. Perhaps Mexico's largest and most notable industry, the automobile landscape in Mexico has been nothing short of a rocket with no signs of slowing. Take the statistic above regarding growth in automobile manufacturing from 1988 to 2013. During this 25-year span, Mexico enjoyed approximately 24% growth year to year for a grand total of 600% over the 25 years, and an increase in the size of the sector. What drives this is foreign automobile investment, notably European and Japanese luxury brands, and to nearly unprecedented scales. Taking each of these stated companies respectively, it can be observed that Volkswagen has invested over 800 million in Mexico to build new plants. Audi has pledged nearly $1.3 billion to broaden their Mexican footprint. Nissan Infiniti has contributed $2 billion to build a new plant for capacity reasons, and BMW has begun to construct a new $1 billion manufacturing center in the country. Making these facts more impressive is the idea that when you hone in on the smaller scale of the automobile parts, both original parts and aftermarket parts, Mexico hosts 84 of the top 100 automobile part companies. From the preceding information, it should come as no surprise that Mexico is now the world's sixth largest automobile producer in the world, with only upside showing. While Mexico may boast a strong automobile industry, what is perhaps more impressive is their burgeoning aviation and aerospace industry and the opportunities it is affording the country. For some context, automobile investment in Mexico has been established over the years and decades and has historical precedence in its establishment in the country. What is notable about their aerospace and aviation industry is that in comparison, it is much more juvenile, yet it is showing growth that is more aggressive than that of cars. Over the last decade, Mexico has enjoyed nearly 20% growth year to year, boosted by the investment of 200 total aerospace and aviation companies, the ranks of which include Bombardier out of Canada and Airbus out of the Netherlands. These factors within the industry have propelled investments in Mexican-centric aviation to exceed nearly $3 billion, establish a workforce of over 200,000 individuals, and with that, adding nearly 35,000 to that workforce every year. While the preceding automobile and aerospace industries are important to individually distinguish due to their size, scaling ability, and observed potential, it would be regrettable to not make note of Mexico's other diverse bases that have contributed to its successes in drawing foreign investment opportunities. Though it may be on the decline, Mexico's petroleum extraction, refinery process, and subsequent exports have allowed them to grow their economy, an industry that is attractive when foreign organizations are considering expanding their manufacturing operations to Mexico. Zooming in on a more micro level, though Mexico is no Silicon Valley or South Korea in terms of software or hardware production, they have been proving increasingly adept at producing the components necessary to power these devices and platforms. With the powerhouse industries established as well as those that are more niche, it is time to review why Mexico is proving to be such a destination for outsourcing. Concerning the aforementioned information, one may think, well, this is impressive on paper, but how is this outsourcing happening and is this sustainable for Mexico? Though it is impossible to predict the far future, in dealing with the more foreseeable, Mexico has much to be optimistic about. Some of the primary drivers in foreign nations choosing Mexico as their base of outsourcing operations include a geographically important and strategic location, especially when considering its proximity to the large market that is the United States, a workforce and population that is young in comparison to other nations, with Mexico's median age being 28 years old, large investments from foreign companies that are showing that they are willing to grow and build upon their existing foundations and investments, and Mexico being party to over 40 free trade agreements, greatly reducing barriers to entry in this country. On the note of the free trade agreements, it would be remiss to not mention NAFTA and its successor with the United States Mexico Canada agreements, USMCA, for provisions within both of these go far to address the shortcomings that have held Mexico back from being more competitive than they already are. In the latest agreed upon but not yet ratified USMCA, certain policies within it go far to give more power to Mexico's unions and their powers of collective bargaining. Additionally, the current Mexican administration has been trying to advance more progressive labor laws to increase worker protections and cut down on the amount of corruption that exists within the industry. It may be speculation to say, but should Mexico create a more secure and stable workforce and environment through policy efforts and amendments, the foreign investment and outsourcing we currently see may just be the beginning. Thank you for listening.